Good evening, YouTube. What the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and welcome to Total War 3 Kingdoms 8 Princes Chapter Pack DLC. So, real quick rundown. If you haven't seen the news on this, well, I guess you're hiding under a rock or just aren't really keen on CA news. But it is a new campaign set roughly 100 years after the start of the Three Kingdoms period. The end of Three Kingdoms is actually pretty close to when this one starts. But yeah, 100 years from the start of the Three Kingdoms period. As you can imagine from the name, there are 8 new playable princes with substantially different play styles. Now, I have not played them in campaign. I can't give you a rundown of those right now. We're going to have a battle here. As soon as I get a chance to play some of them in campaign, I will, but I've got more campaign going on than I can handle right now anyway, so I'm not going to jump into a 8 princes campaign right away, but we will. They do have cataphracts now, and you will see those right now. This is a battle I'm playing with Indie Pride. We actually played 2 battles, and this is the second of those 2. If you want to see the first one, go check out his channel. He does these awesome narrative, dramatic cast, and he does them really well. He has an awesome channel. Indie Pride is an awesome guy all around. If you haven't seen his videos, then it's your fault, because they're good, and you should watch them. He makes lots of really good Warhammer videos. Yeah, go check out the video. Snowy map, awesome battle. You'll want to see it. This one was a fun battle too. And I've got this one for you. So yeah, cataphracts. And then there's some other stuff going on in there, but yeah, whatever. That's kind of the general rundown of this DLC. Now let me introduce you to this battle. Again, I'm playing as Team Green over here, and then Team Red is going to be Indie Pride. So I've got Sima Liang, Sima Yu, however you say it, and then Sima Wei. Now, I do not know anything historically about these characters. I haven't had a chance to look it up, haven't had a chance to read it. I probably will at some point, but just not my time. Anyway, we are playing in records mode so that there's not any like crazy antics if these guys are like terribly unbalanced. And as for the army, when you play in records mode, your 3 generals become a heavy cavalry unit, and it's just something to be aware of. There's going to be a lot of heavy cavalry, and much like Total War Attila, heavy cavalry is very powerful in this game. The fights between heavy cavalry don't play out as fast as they do in Attila, but a charge into infantry can crush them just as quickly as it did in Attila. And if you all aren't familiar with that, then it's near instant if you get a really good charge on an unbraced unit. Now, so for that reason, a lot of my army has charge reflection. My front line includes some spear guards, and then my flanks there are some heavy spear guards. In a second line, I have some saber militia, and then a 3rd spear guard in the back. I have my 3 generals. Again, they're heavy cavalry. And then I've brought a rush army here, no archers, so I have a mounted saber militia, hopefully to get his archers. And then I've got a cataphract and a heavy cataphract on my left flank. And then same thing on my right flank. Let's go check out Indie Pride's army. He does indeed have archers for himself. Let's see what kind they are. Just militia. So they won't do crazy damage, but they will be very useful if used properly. And it's going to be up to me to get to those archers. Now over here he's got a Jade Dragon and a heavy cataphract. And if you look at these units, you know, there's obviously differences, but these unit cards kind of blow, and I can't tell you what they are right off the bat without sitting here for a long time studying it. CA, please change the unit cards. He's got Sima Ai, Sima Yong, and Sima Jiang. And he's got a similar thing over here on this flank, a Jade Dragon and a heavy cataphract. Now some of the units in this overlap with the Three Kingdoms units. So as far as like a wow factor, I haven't played the campaign yet. There may be a wow factor in the campaign in terms of the difference of playstyle being really exciting. But, I mean, from a multiplayer standpoint, there's nothing that's going to be crazy new here other than the cataphracts. And cataphracts are fun to use, but I would say they were probably fairly similar to Jade Dragons and other stuff anyway, in terms of the way they feel on the battlefield. They just look really cool. Check out this unit right here. They do look awesome. A very good looking unit. So, is this DLC worth it? I'm not here to tell you that because I haven't played the campaign yet, and I'm just not qualified to tell you whether it's worth it. If you're me, you buy every Total War DLC, and it's worth it because I'll play it at some point and get enough hours out of it that it's worth it. But if you're you, and you don't have money to drop on that kind of stuff, I can't tell you that here. Well, Air, you're worthless. How come you can't? I just did not have time to play this. I had other content that had been sent to us, and I haven't had time to delve into it. My son's birthday is tomorrow too, and I was kind of getting a few things ready for that. I traveled not too long. Anyway, lots of excuses, I know. But yeah, I can't tell you whether the campaign is worth it. Three Kingdoms campaign is good. I have to imagine that it's probably worth it here. but that's up to you. I would go check out some more videos for people who played the campaign. Now, Indy Pride has a better position here on the hill, and I could sit back, but I can't because I don't have range, right? And I knew that coming in with this army. Now, another thing to be aware of in records mode is your troops do tire out rather quickly, so I do have to be self-aware and kind of stop and regain some of my stamina before we just go plowing on uphill. So I have given Indy kind of a positional advantage by giving up my archers. It also means I have to charge headlong into archer fire. He's got a nice downhill gradient here. The onus for me to win this battle, I have to use my infantry numbers successfully, and that's my hope, right? Overwhelm him, get his cavalry bogged down with infantry where they don't want to be, and get my extra cavalry into his archers, cause a lot of grief really quick. One thing you have to be very careful of in this game is your infantry getting plowed while it's unbraced by a cavalry unit, so you have to be keenly aware of it. And this is a big long battlefront here, and I didn't realize that I was getting charged from this flank already. So I'm going to be a little bit late on counter-charging over here. I think I get a very late counter-charge on these units, but I'm outnumbered, and he has infantry very nearby, and my infantry is further out. I do have a heavy spear guard. This is going to allow his infantry to mix it up with my cav quite well. I should have backed off that charge and tried to get a better one. Over here, there hasn't been a charge yet, but then Indy gets a fantastic unbraced charge here, and I was just a little too far behind to stop him, and so this one will be a win for him. He can now just simply retreat, and my guys are getting wrecked by archer fire as well. So far, my advantage of infantry has not given me anything. I do get the saber cavalry around his flank, and I'm going to try and tear through these archers, but he has already very well done some quite tremendous damage on my infantry. So he's really got a very good start to this battle, and it's going to be difficult for me to try and turn it, though I will. I see I get an outnumbered charge over here. My infantry got snagged on his key guardsman here, and whenever I tried to give the movement order, so now I end up in a disadvantageous fight here and here. However, this flank, although it didn't start great for me, it's still looking quite tenable here. In fact, I'm pushing a unit around his flank to try and trap him, and he knows it, and he's going to get out of here. However, he's about to catch up to my my poor saber militia cavalry, which can't even kill a freaking archer unit. Are you kidding me? Look at this, 11 kills, and I got a clean charge on an archer unit. CA, please. Usually my cavalry crush archer units near instantly, so I have no idea what happened. Some charge mechanic got botched, because it's just an archer militia, and they survived it, and it's really bad for me, because now I'm in a bad position there. Anyway, over here, I managed to pull my general loose out of the fight. I'm going to come around the flank because now I have a unit number superiority. I'm going to be able to charge this infantry in the back with my spear guardsmen, and then do the same thing, swing around here with the general, so I can turn the right flank in my favor. The problem is I'm losing the left flank rather massively, so this is definitely a tale of two flanks. And one of them is going good for me, the other one is going very poorly for me. My generals will fight nearly to the death, and that's pretty much what they're going to have to do. There's no getting away here. He's pouring fire into this fight with his archers. It's really not causing a whole lot of damage to his units. It's doing more damage to mine, so he's in good shape there. My heavy spear guards holding out decent against the guardsmen here, but this G militia absolutely put the spank on my saber militia because of morale, and that was a lot to do with his archers having softened up that target. So my rush army theory here did not work out well. My last battle against him was not a rush army, and I will let you all watch his video to see how it turns out. But this one I decided to employ a rush army, because I've always liked playing rush armies in Total War games. Let's get you some close-up my spear guardsmen chasing these cataphracts. This is a dangerous situation to be in. These cataphract units are slow, but if they wheel around and get a charge on you unbraced, you're going to die very quickly regardless of being a spear guardsman. I did get one of my heavy cataphracts back, and I was able to crush his J-Dragons here and get one of his guardsmen out of the fight. There's a G militia. Surprisingly, the guardsman routes, and the militia fights on. Again, this is another kind of CA please moment here. My saber militia got absolutely owned by the G militia. It's good to know going forward that the G militia is probably just a better pick all around, other than the fact that the saber militia has a shield. Now, my heavy air cataphracts are actually doing better in this fight than my heavy cataphracts. It could have been because of the way they took a charge, or just the way their stats work out, but my cataphracts certainly doing a little better in this fight, but my general Sima Ling is down to 6 units. He's in pretty rough shape. We fought down over half of his general, but what's going to be a real challenge for this is you can already tell here, I'm going to lose this, and there's going to be enough infantry for him to match my own. Plus, he's going to have more cavalry than me, and it leaves me in a near untenable position. I'm not going to give up, though. I go ahead and get some charges in. We're going to get rid of this G militia, which fought much more bravely than the guardsmen for whatever reason. Maybe they were just inspired by the guardsmen, and the guardsman was discouraged by the presence of the stinky peasants. I don't know what the case is. I'm going to fast forward for a second. We're going to reform our armies. Sima Lung dies over there. So I've got my my 3 heavy spear guards left, tough infantry, decently capable. And I was sitting here thinking, like, one of the things I could do is just set up like a charge reflection triangle, but I can't cover all of my grounds, and he'd still be able to get through. And he has ammo on his archer. If I'd had like 4 spear units where I could set up a little noob box, I still am going to end up taking a lot of fire from his archers, so I'm not sure if it would have worked out, but it's possible that I might have been able to hold against his infantry and cavalry because of the charge reflection. But I don't have enough units to set up that charge reflection, so I'm left with little choice other than to try and engage his infantry, hope that maybe I can get a quick knockout, and re-engage into a cavalry fight, because I'm going to need these heavy spear guards desperately in a cavalry fight. And heavy spear guards don't deal the same amount of armor piercing, obviously, as a polearm unit either, but they do have the benefit of having like higher evasion and stuff because of a shield or block chances. And I don't know about if shields give evasion in this game. Honestly, don't know the answer to that properly. Yeah, that one archer unit there is hurting me. It's hurting me pretty badly. So his G militia just ended up being a better value here. I took more expensive infantry, and his G militia was more numerous and helped him kind of overcome the fact that I did initially have more infantry units than him. But he quickly rectified that with some good charges early on. And again, when you're playing like an Attila-esque type game, don't forget that. I should have had my cavalry leading my infantry, especially the sword infantry, into that charge. If I could have led my sword infantry to the charge, may have been a little better. But no guarantee, right? No guarantee. Also, cavalry rear charges can ruin an infantry unit very quickly. If you're able to get a couple of those quickly, you can sometimes wrap up large infantry fights and free up that infantry early and potentially wrap it back into another fight. So let's say that, for instance, maybe I'd put more cavalry on the front rows, managed to get through a couple of gaps and get some rear charges where he couldn't stop me. I might have been able to wrap up enough spear infantry to come help me then win the cavalry fights that I no doubt would have been overwhelmed in for having committed more cavalry to the front lines. So there's a couple of different ways that we could have potentially taken that. In this case, it didn't work out. And honestly, with the type of damage that his archers did, I didn't have a lot of respect for some of the archers in this game. And I tested it here. It didn't work out in this particular case. Maybe it could in another. Maybe. But I was actually impressed at the amount of damage that his archers were able to get done to some of my units. Especially being archer militia. I did not expect them to be able to get a decent amount of damage done. Ammo's relatively limited. And sometimes the damage that your archers cause before they run out of ammo is minimal, and they end up not being worth it. But I think in this case, his archers were definitely worth it. And like I said, overall, well played by Indie Pride. He's a great player. Go check out his channel. He's going to post, and as soon as I have a link to it, I'll put it in this video. He's going to post the other battle, and it is a good one. It's a real good one. I want you all to go see it. I say it's real good. It's as good as a battle can get on Total War 3 Kingdoms right now, because this game is really not great for multiplayer. It's okay-ish in records mode when you play it like this. It's okay-ish. Like, especially if you're just playing with a friend for fun or something like that. It's not awful. But like romance and quick battle would be an absolute mess right now. You don't want to do it. It's broken. Like I said, records mode with a friend, something like that. It's not bad. It's doable. In any case, great game to Indie Pride. Let's take a look at some of the stats on his units. This cavalry right here racking up some pretty serious kills. Did a very nice job. These kills on the archers mattered, because look at the kills. I basically traded some of these archers for these saber militia. Look which one did better, right? And some of these did damage to my heavy cavalry. So that's a great trade. I got nothing out of these two saber militia, and then these two gave me a very weak performance. Spear guards, they were good units. All of them performed fairly admirably, but look at this. Just like the does it not show me what the unit name is when I hover? That's annoying. These two were his guardsmen. These were G infantry. Look at this. 112 kills on a G infantry. 73 kills G infantry. 87 kills G infantry. Like, look at mine. Mine were much higher quality units. And these were just G militia. Sorry, my bad. These two were the guardsmen. G militia is clearly well over worth its weight. If you look at the way that they're performing in these battles, and even the guardsmen routed in that fight before the G militia did. Again, maybe it was because it got hit a little bit by the cavalry or something like that, but I tend to find so far in these games that the G militia are just very good at what they do. The only downside to them is if you really get out-archered, they get chewed up fast by archers, but that is literally like the only downside to G militia. Otherwise, I feel like they are going to be a cost-effective unit all day long in pretty much every battle, and some part of me wishes that I would have brought more of them here, like maybe just a whole lot of G militia to try and help hold the front line. A few archers to fire back at his own. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, and then may have had a little more possibility. But hey, it was fun. Tried it. Didn't work. We'll have to try something different next time. If you also look at like the heavy cavalry factor here, in total I had 7 heavy cavalry, and he had 8. When you count the generals and all of his others, that's a big deal because heavy cavalry is very powerful in this game, and being at a disadvantage to heavy cavalry is a big risk to take. I had no more spear units than he did. I was hoping my saber militia could punch well against a G militia, but in fact I should have just brought some G militia rather than the saber militia, because they would have done a better job, and then I could have potentially taken a bunch of those spear guards out to the flanks. Actually, if I'm sitting here thinking about it, that's probably the first thing I would change on this particular run. Let's go back and look at it real quick and see if the costing would work out. Let's go to a multiplayer battle. I'm gonna host one real quick, put a password so no one can join it. Let's see, yeah, here was my army. This guy can bring G militia. It's 450. Saber Cab is 450. I mean, if I bring this right here, maybe have been a better choice. Don't know if it gives me a win, but these guys are obviously better at holding for a lot longer in melee. Now his archers definitely would have chewed on these guys some, but think about it. I could have just sent my my spear guards up the center, because they would have held out in a fight a lot longer than the saber militia, and then maybe one of the heavy spear guards up the center, and then split all my G militia out onto the flanks where they're going to be good against cavalry as well. Maybe you can overcome, especially if I could get some sneaky attacks with the mounted saber militia, because then I could have had an infantry number. I still had to deal with his archers, and my saber militia did a terrible job of dealing with his archers, the mounted saber militia. So I don't know, it may have been a lost cause regardless. Tell me what you all think in this one. Have you played this game enough to know whether or not that going rush is too risky or not? Be curious to see what you think. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out. Thanks to Andy Pride. Go check out his channel. He's a fantastic Total War YouTuber. I've gotten to meet him a couple times in real life too, at a couple of CA events. The guy's awesome, so make sure you go check it out. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you soon.